What's up, guys? Are you looking to work with me as your life coach without spending all the money? Well, I have a perfect product and service for you. The Life Coach Zach app. I recently launched the Life Coach Zach app earlier this year, and it has a ton of resources and services that are perfect for you, including, but not limited to, guided affirmations, guided meditations, exclusive podcasts, and mindfulness exercises for you to live your best life. Head over to lifecoachzach.app and download the app today. To all the people that are listening today, my special guest is Suzanne Doyle-Ingram, a 15-time published author, helps other people publish their own book. She coaches business professionals on how to write and publish these books and how to use their books as leverage to increase their visibility and grow their business. Suzanne, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Awesome. I'm doing really well too. I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hop on the podcast today. As an aspiring author, I'm very honored to have you on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So tell us what it takes to become a published author.
Well, that's a great question. So first of all, you've got to figure out a few things before you even start writing your book. I actually have a whole program where I run people through like the foundation before you even start. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is they just start writing whatever comes to mind, but you really have to make a plan. So for most of the people that we work with, they're writing a book to support their business and to help them look like an authority or an expert in their industry, even if they don't feel like an expert. So I always start with asking people, why do you want a book? And what do you want your book to do for you? I had a realtor I was working with once, and she said she wanted to write a book for first-time home buyers. So I was like, okay, great. So we have this big, long call with her. We work on the outline and everything. And then we go back to her. We present the outline to her. We go, here's what we think should be included in your book for first-time home buyers. And I said, but before we get started, tell me what you love about first-time home buyers. So she says, oh, I hate working with first-time home buyers. They're the worst. And I go, well, why do you want to write a book about it? Because whatever you put out there, you're going to get more of. You're going to position yourself as an expert for first-time home buyers. She goes, oh, I just thought it would be easy. I was like, okay, no. Let's start again. So I learned my lesson with that one. And now I'm that was about 6 or 7 years ago, more clear now with, so it saves so much time and money if people could get really clear about what they want their book to be about, but also like how they serve their clients and their readers. So, there's a lot that goes into it, as I said, before you even start writing.
Right. So I've actually been trying to publish a book for the last 2 years. I keep writing. I get like 10,000 words into it, and then I scrap it. And then I get like 12,000 words, and I scrap it.
Did you start with an outline?
I know.
Oh, see, that's what happens.
I know. So about a month and a half ago, I was like, you know what? Nothing's more important than this book. I'm canceling all of my obligations and responsibilities, and I'm going to write this book, and I'm not going to stop until I'm at 30,000 words.
Okay.
And I did it, and I got 30,000 words done.
Good.
And I start interviewing some copy editors, and the 2 editors I spoke to said, you're nowhere near finished. You have still so much more that you need to do.
Yeah.
And it really frightened me a bit. I went back to my rough draft and I started to take things out and kind of shorten it a little bit, and put a lot of notes in Microsoft Word on the side. And long story short, I got so overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I got so overwhelmed that I stopped again. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, should I just publish it? Should I just send it to the editor, make the changes, and just publish it? Or should I take more time, maybe focus a little more on the pre-marketing strategy while I'm finishing up the book, and then do it right? But I don't know. What's some of your advice for me?
Well, I'm so glad you shared that, because so many other people do that, where it's sort of like, imagine if you're trying to make a cake and you don't know exactly what needs to go in, but you throw a bunch of stuff in a bowl and you hope for the best. So what I love to do with the book writing and publishing process is reverse engineer it and start from the very, very beginning. And I have had many people come to my firm over the last 12 years saying, "My book is done. I'm so excited." And then we look at it and we're like, "Oh gosh, what?" It's not just a matter of editing, because when you don't start with a really clear plan and literally start, and before you even touch pen to paper or your hands to your keyboard, you think, what do I want this book to do for people? How do I want the reader to feel? What's in it for the reader? Because I hate to tell you, but the book's not about you. And I say that all the time and I sound like such a jerk, but that's what happens is a lot of people write a book of all about them. Like, oh, I've had this amazing life. Let me tell you about my life. You wouldn't believe what happened to me. And then this happened and then this happened. What's in it for the reader? You know, it could be entertaining, but when you're writing a book that you want to support your business, you really have to have stories in the book that show the transformation that occurred because of, for one of your clients, because of something that you did for them, for example. So a lot of times when people come to us with a book that has been written kind of just by, I hate to sound rude, but like barfing all over a page, we kind of have them start all over again. And then what happens is they write a really good book that they're really proud of and excited about. And then everything is just so much better. So, I mean, because you've spent so much time doing it, I can understand why you would want to just get it out there. But you have to look at your reputation and how it's going to serve others. So when, like, we work with lots of different industries, not just realtors, like chiropractors and dog trainers and everything in between. But with realtors, we want you to be able to use it as a leave behind at your listing presentations. And then we want everybody to say, we've interviewed 4 other realtors and I'm going to go with you because, I read your book last night and you've got the listing. That's actually happened to some of the realtors we worked with. And that's what I want, right? So it has to be really pragmatic and straightforward. And here's a chapter about, curb appeal. And here's a chapter about, like, if you choose me to be your listing agent, this is what you're going to get. This is what I do. And this is what I've done for these 17 other people. And, it's super, super organized. So is your book about real estate, Zach?
So, great question. So my book is it's a guide. I haven't looked at it in 3 weeks, so it's not even fresh in my mind
Mm-hmm.
anymore. But it's a guide for Gen Z and millennials on
Mm-hmm.
how they can start living better now.
Oh,
So I talk a
perfect.
lot about health,
Good.
wealth, and happiness are the 3 pillars of the
Yes.
entire book. And then
Yeah.
in health, we talk about physical health and mental health, and then we break down physical health into like flexibility, strength training, diet, exercise, yada yada, diet. And
Good.
it's meant for anyone under the age of 28.
Cool.
A lot of it in wealth is like, hey, if you don't have a retirement account, start putting $100 a month away.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know what your expenses are, make sure you have a sheet that has all your fixed monthly expenses. Try to save money here, cancel your subscriptions, and
Sounds good.
it's pretty good. When I finished it, I was really proud. But then when I spoke to the editor, she's like, "You have so much more work to do."
Mm-hmm.
I got very, and then I went out of town, and then I came back,
Mm-hmm.
and each day I'm like, "Gotta work on my book for 2 hours. Gotta work on my book for 2 hours," and it's just not getting done. A lot of
Yeah.
lack of self discipline. I take all the blame. There's no
And I have to say too, like, a lot of times it's good to have a book coach and the right one. There's lots of different book coaches out there. Some book coaches will tell you just to, like, write what your favorite color is or something BS like that. So and some of them are more like, spiritual guides or whatever. So if you find the right coach,
right.
that's what I would say. But the question I have for you is, what do you want the book to do for you?
I want to use the book to leverage more business, and I also want to use it as credibility. I want to be a published author. I'm an avid reader. I love reading.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love Brian Tracy and Jim Rohn and Tony
Yeah.
Robbins and Darren Hardy and Hal Elrod. Jack
Yeah.
Canfield. They're just people that I love, that I've learned so much from, and everything that I've applied to my life that I've read in these books has yielded incredible results. And I'm very passionate
Mm,
about personal growth and self development. And as a
good.
certified life coach and certified nutritionist, I think it's crucial. It's necessary for me to be a published author.
Yes,
So
it is. It is.
that's kind of like the point was really, I'm not doing this to make a lot of money. I mean, it's not going to sell more than 500 copies. Like, I'm not doing this to make a lot of money. I'm not doing it to just say I'm an author and put it in my bio on social media. But it's something that I need to have. And
Mhm.
yeah, does that answer your question?
Yes, but so I'm just thinking about how when I say to people, how do you want what do you want the book to do for you? Okay, so you want to use it to get more clients and grow your business. Um, is there any call to action in the book? Do you have any call to action like join my LinkedIn group or my Facebook
Yes.
group or book a strategy call
A
with me?
lot of call to actions. In
Okay,
probably every 25 pages, there's a different call to action. And there's also
and,
exercises within the book that you can,
good. I
yeah,
love that.
there's
You know,
exercises and diagrams and things like that.
good. So for this type of book, I always say, let us help the reader feel like you are already coaching them. And when you tell them to pick up a pen and write something in the book, they're making a micro commitment to you. So they're already thinking like you're
Yeah.
their coach, which is
Uh-huh.
perfect. So to have that sort of leverage progression where you're like, here's a free thing you can do. Also to get them to like download some of the worksheets from your website,
Right.
because then you get their email and you can follow up with them. So that's really smart. I'm so glad to hear you're doing that.
Are you a book coach
Yes, and publisher.
and publisher? Okay.
Mhm.
So, if I wanted to hire you as my book coach, can you tell us a little bit about how that will work?
Sure, yeah. So I have a program called the Expert Author Program. So typically what people do is they either join at the like the group level or the private level. So it's a 6 month program where they join with absolutely no idea what to write their book about. And we get on the phone, they start doing all the foundational work, like all the pieces that need to go into their book. With, one of the things I teach is you've got to have credibility, but you also have to have vulnerability. If you have too much credibility in your book, like I'm all that in a bag of chips, people are like, well, it must be easy for Zach, but I'm not like Zach. I'm not good looking or tall or whatever. I'm from a different country or whatever my, self-imposed constraint is. But then you also have to have vulnerability so that that balances. So they go, oh wow, I've been there too. Okay, so
Right.
he gets me.
Right.
So, anyways, there's all those pieces that I teach people how to write first, and then we have 2 calls a month as a group. And when I've surveyed people over the last 12 years, what was the best part about my expert author program? They always say the group calls, which is so funny because it's my gift. I just think it's so simple, but they're on the call going, what was that? Taking notes and everything. So that's typically how I work with people is really start from the beginning. It's the very most beautiful place to be because it's a clean slate.
Yeah.
And then they go through the 6 months, they write a book and then either they can self-publish their book and that's part of the program where we show you how, or we publish it for you and we launch it on Amazon and make it a bestseller. Because and then we do all the editing, the graphic design and all that kind of stuff.
Oh,
So
wow.
it
Okay.
depends on what you need. And
Interesting.
one of the things too is that when you're looking for a publisher, just in case anybody is listening that is looking for a publisher, always find out if you're going to get to keep the rights to your book. Because that's one thing that makes us a little different is I let all of the authors keep the rights to their book, 100% rights to their book. And also you get all the royalties from Amazon. So we basically set up an account for you on the back end of Amazon. And it looks like your book is published by Prominence Publishing and we have your logo, our logo and everything on it. And we're open to like, if you want to put your logo on the back too, you can. Like, it's not like, no, this has to be like this and certain number of words and everything. We're very flexible. And then we launch the book for you under Prominence Publishing brand. And then we go, okay, Zach, here's your email address, your login. Here's how you log in and check your sales and everything. And then when you sell books on Amazon, Amazon prints one copy and ships it to the customer. And then they just send you the checks. So it's
Right.
perfect. We get to do our work and then we just give you the keys to the castle.
Right. And I'm actually pretty familiar with Amazon KDP because I published an interactive journal agenda type thing on Amazon.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, good for
Yeah.
you. Good.
I published
Yeah.
that in the middle of 2020. It's kind of
Good.
what I've used for the past 10 years to stay on track. And I just publish it
Good.
with a lot of quotes from celebrities and authors and philosophers and
Oh,
leaders and people
nice.
like Mother Teresa and Buddha and Gandhi
Oh,
and Nelson
that sounds
Mandela.
awesome.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. And it sells, I probably sell about 2 copies a month, I would say,
Oh,
which,
that's good.
obviously we're not making a lot of money here, but it's pretty
Yeah.
cool. So, I find your model very interesting because as a publisher, there's two different ways to publish a book, right? It's the standard publishing route or traditional publishing route, and then there's the
Yeah.
self-publishing route. And
Yeah.
for a while, I was going back and forth, which route do I want to go? And it
Mhm.
seems like the standard publishing route was, or traditional, sorry, was just more time consuming. Like I have to wait on a publisher and I have to, be on their own time. So what sets you apart from other publishers besides what you already talked about?
We're kind of in between self-publishing
Right.
and traditional publishing.
Interesting.
So people prepay for our services. So with a traditional publisher, you don't have to pay them anything, but you barely make any money, and they will really only take you on if you have over 1 million followers. It's just not going to happen because they want to know that you're a sure thing. Quite honestly, they want to know they're going to make some money from you because they're going to invest in your with the typesetting and the graphic design and everything like that. So it's one of the. Sometimes people say, "Oh, this publishing companies, they're a scam. They're making people prepay." And it's like, no, we're really transparent and upfront about it. Here's the deal: you prepay us for our services, and then you get to keep all the royalties. So if you're going to sell, 1,000 books or 2,000 books or 10,000 books, then you go right ahead, right? We also have a program called Beyond the Book, where after people, they can only join if they've gone through our publishing, but then we show them how to get booked on podcasts, how to get speaking engagements, how to put together an online course, how to put together a TED Talk. And our sort of our graduates, who are in that program are doing like so well, making six figures. Like I love it because oftentimes I can see that they don't believe in themselves yet. And until I get my hands on them, right? And so then, I remember this one woman in particular last year, I said, or I guess it was 2020, actually, COVID made me a bit oblivious, but I said to her, "What's your revenue goal for next year?" And she just looked at me like, "What?" Like I'd slapped her in the face or something, And I said, "What's your revenue goal?" And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, "Okay, well, you're not going to make any money. So let's make it $100,000. How about that?" And she was just like the lottery. Like she couldn't even get her head around making $100,000. And then in November of that year, she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm at like 98,000. Like I cannot believe this happened." And so a lot of it that comes after is really like business coaching that I do, quite honestly.
Right.
But what also sets us apart is that we're not just a factory. A lot of places are. You like just upload your manuscript and then you have like 6 different people that you're working with, and they take forever. We really care about our clients, and I want people to make money. So, I help them detach from the emotional, like my book is my baby. I'm like, no, it's not. It's just a thing. It's a bunch of pages. Let's go. Let's get real here, right? How are you going to make some money, so that there's not that emotional attachment. And like I said before, letting them keep the rights to their book. We don't make people print 1,000 copies of their book. If anybody tries to do that to you, run away, because they're just a printing company, not a publishing company. Nobody needs 1,000 books in their garage anymore. That is so old fashioned, right? So everything now is print on demand. You upload your files to Amazon, and they print one copy when someone orders a copy of your book. But you can also go in and order author copies. They're usually like $3 or $4 each. And like I said, I'm just super transparent about all of that, and I don't try to paint a rosier picture than it really is, and just be pragmatic about it.
Absolutely. I love that answer. So you've authored 15 books. What is your most successful book to date?
Well, that's another great question. You're not even reading the pre-prepared questions that we had for you. Okay, here's a funny story. The first book that I wrote, and the reason I started writing books was because I was broke and I was freaking out. I'd had a marketing agency in 2010 that crashed because of the economy. And I was like, I had 3 little kids, was married. And so I wrote a book under a fake name because I thought it would totally fail and I didn't want anyone to know that it was me. But it became a bestseller because I used to own a marketing agency. So I knew a little bit about SEO and how to market a book. So I was like, oh, this is awkward. See that book that doesn't have my name on it? That's actually me, everybody. And it was sort of funny. And then I wrote 6 more books that year. And I was making money selling books on Amazon. But the funny thing is, then I thought, well, these are silly kind of books. Like one was about taking care of a new baby and some gluten-free recipes, just trending things that I thought would sell because I wanted to make money. But I wrote a book called See Jane Grow, How to Position Yourself as an Authority in Your Industry for women entrepreneurs. And I thought, this is what I really want to do. I want to work with women entrepreneurs. But nobody bought it. It was total, I used to call it my biggest failure. No one bought this book. So I got curious. I wasn't, oh no, poor me. I thought, okay, well, that's interesting. These other books sold. This one didn't sell. kind of thought, well, maybe it's because women entrepreneurs aren't looking for a book right now. They're too busy trying to grow their business and everything. And so it was a good lesson for me. But then I got a phone call from a nonprofit organization that said, hey, we have some funding to do a study on why women entrepreneurs go out of business faster than men and why women entrepreneurs make less money than men. And I went, oh my gosh, I just wrote a book and that is information is in my book. And she said, yeah, we know. That's why we called you. And I just sort of blurted out, but only 7 people bought it. Like, it was a total failure. It was so funny. Anyway, long story short, I got a contract to work with them for 5 months, which was spun into 2 other contracts. And at the end of the year, my accountant said, did you know that these contracts made you more money than all book sales combined? And I was like, oh, the money's not in the book sales. The money is in what the book can do for you.
Right.
So, long way of answering your question. My biggest success was actually my biggest failure as a book, but it really changed my whole entire business. And I really started saying to people, let me help you write a book that you can use to position you as an authority, even if you don't feel like one, and let's go, And so that's changed everything for me.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I love hearing like that. It kind of reminded me of one of my career events of just making a lot of cold calls in real estate, and everyone would say no, but one person said yes, and this one person ended up being my biggest client, and referred me to so many other people, and ended up making more money from just this one client than I made from all my other clients combined.
Yes,
and all it takes is one. So
yes,
to all those
that's
people
so
that are
true
out there. Yeah.
And I think
sorry,
you go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
I was thinking, your brain looks for evidence, right? So like if you are getting a lot of no, your brain starts going, oh, well, you're a failure and this is never going to work. How is this ever going to work? This is never going to work. But you get one win, and your brain goes, oh, it does work. and then it just helps you feel more positive about moving forward with it.
Yep, absolutely. So to all those people that are listening out there, you got to take your shot. And if you ever thought about writing a book, if you ever thought that this is something that, could help you out, and it's something that you're interested in, maybe you have a hobby of writing and you want to publish all your writings, head over to prominencepublishing.com. That's PROMINENCE publishing.com. You can get in touch with Suzanne, and she can help you start writing your first book.
I would love to. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, Suzanne, thank you so much for all your time today. And I'm looking forward to seeing all your other successes. And I think we're going to end up doing a call together, you and I, privately after this, because I am very curious to potentially team up together.
Sounds great, Zach. I thank you so much for having me on your show. And I hope that I've helped your listeners a little bit. And I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you.